All right. Looks like we are live. Let's see. I will wait for people to start showing up in chat. Just give me a second here. Okay. If anyone's in chat, if you could just let me know if you can see the stream going on. That would be great. Okay. All right. I'll go ahead and start anyway. So, welcome everyone to a very special episode of HexAsians. This is a different stream time than we usually do because we have some guests that can't make the usual time since we cater to the other side of the world, and my usual co-host can't join me today, so it's just me hosting. So so I think we'll just go ahead and get started now. So without any further ado, I will bring on my guests and let them introduce themselves. So first we have John Wick, and then we have
everybody.
Yashdeep.
Hey guys,
what's going on? Yeah, can you give I guess for those that haven't met you guys before, can you give a brief introduction and maybe how you got into crypto? So I guess we could start with John.
Okay, sure. So I've been in Hex since before the launch. Just kind of been tracking how I was following Richard for a year or so before it launched. So I've just been in some of his Telegram chats and following the project and figuring out the design while it's been going on. And then it's been just cool to see it progress and now become what it is today. But I started in crypto back in 2016. I started dabbling in Ethereum. I was like an Ethereum maximalist, if you will. I just saw the potential in it more than Bitcoin, just being a smaller coin, less known, which a lot of similarities that I feel, which is Hex in this current environment. So I've been just investing, learning constantly about crypto. But traditionally, I'm from the legacy finance world. I do investment management, asset management, financial planning for clients, families, small businesses, etc. So that's a little bit of my background.
Nice. And Yashdeep?
Yep. So my name is Yashdeep. Very similar to John. I knew about Hex before it launched. Been following Richard for a long time. During probably middle of 2017, liked who he is as a person, his personality, his ideas, how very straightforward he is. And so I just been following him along. And when it launched, I was very bullish on it. I still am. And I just, try to learn up on crypto. I got into crypto more so for my kind of libertarian, anarchist or voluntarist type of background, where I wanted money that wasn't artificially controlled by the Federal Reserve to help stabilize the economy and to give people something to look forward to. And I think Hex does that with, time locking your economic energy, for up to 15 years. So that was really attractive to me. And, there's lots of game theory into Hex, which is also really great. But then, I don't follow too much of other cryptos. I'm aware of them, but I mostly just stick with Hex. And it's been great for me. Even when I first got started, I was really only sticking with Bitcoin and Ethereum. I didn't really dive into any of those other coins because I I just knew that gains in Bitcoin and Ethereum were enough, and they were the top two. So what's the point of trying to find ones in the hundreds that probably lose all your money? So I kind of just had that intuition from the beginning, and it's done me pretty well. In the normal world outside of crypto, I'm a mechanical engineer. I work primarily in my work experience is all in medical devices. On the R&D side, product development. So I've worked for 2 companies, and right now I just moved. I'm taking a break from the normal 9 to 5, trying to see if there's some other opportunities out there for myself. And so I'm going to be taking the next 6 months or so to see how that goes.
That's cool. Awesome. So I guess John had some stuff to talk about. So yeah, we can go ahead and get started.
Yeah. Just wanted to catch up with everybody and talk some more in-depth stuff about Hex and what's going on with the game theory and the community and some of the just exciting things going on. So I watched the Richard stream last night, which was pretty good. He was fired up.
I enjoyed that.
And he was able to have the floor for extended monologues, which I like personally. Sometimes people cut in and out constantly, but I think Adam was his name. Really let him speak and share a lot of knowledge when it came to legacy, stocks, and his previous interview, and then some of the developments of Hex and all the haters and all that. So it's like we continue to hear that stuff, but it's for some reason we like it when it comes from Richard. We can just hear it over and over again. So let's dive into it. I'll stop talking for now. So on the previous yesterday, I did a video with Maddie. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the large stakes that came undone over the last day or few days or so. So on the 26th of February, there was about 1 billion stakes coming undone, 95% of which was the OA, and they end staked and are sitting liquid. So that was a big milestone for Hex because that was one of the largest days coming undone. But for those that had done the chain analysis ahead of time, knew that it was just gonna stay liquid and unstake. So there's that, and then there's the big March 15th stake, which is about 1.5 billion or so, and 1.3 billion being the largest Hex staker in the whole system. And a lot of the indications point to it being through Arrows Capital, which is an investment firm that manages a lot of assets for crypto funds, infrastructure, coins themselves. And we have reason to believe, mostly from Silver to the Antidote, that that they position pretty heavily and early in Hex and haven't really told anyone about it. But we can assume that this is their wallet and that they don't really want to harm the project this early when it's still unknown. And they have multiple billions of stakes coming undone later down the line. Doesn't make sense to self-destruct or nuke yourself when it's such an early stage in the project and it's showing so much promise, right? But they've seen a lot of gains too, like we have over the last year or so. So just wanted to see if you guys had any thoughts about those stakes. Have you seen, done some of the chain analysis, or have any ideas there? What's going to happen on March 15th?
Sorry if you guys hear cars going by. It's
no
unavoidable.
Yeah.
But I thought a long time ago that whoever this person was, or these people are, that they would hopefully provide liquidity, or not liquidity. They would just keep their Hex liquid, and therefore adding to the market cap. We know it's a vanity metric, but a lot of people have their eyeballs on it. So I was looking forward to that, and it seems like that's been what's been happening. I think the March 15th whale will likely do the same thing, or maybe in a staggered kind of way. I was watching Mark Cuban today, and it seemed like, and I posted this on my Twitter, it seemed like he knew what Hex was, that he's vaguely familiar with it. He didn't mention it by name, but he did say things that sounded like, he knew what was going on to some degree. He mentioned APY 40-50%, and there's really nothing else out there that's providing returns like that by investment, and the returns are in Hex. And he kind of mentioned how some other sites are possibly making claims in USD, but Hex doesn't do that. Hex also says things pump and dump 85-95% all the time, and that's on the website. So anyway, I saw him today and he was talking about that, and not that I think he's the March 15th whale or anything, but I just think that people like him will see something like market cap and it'll just draw more eyeballs to it. And so I was hoping that's what would happen, and it seems like that's what's happening. I also posted in Cabana's, I had a theory about what's going to happen with the March 15th and things like that, and it's not going to happen right away, but I think there's it looks like an ascending triangle over the macro trend, and it seems like it's going to converge on April 20th, which is 420. And that particular wallet address, if you look at the other tokens it holds, they round up to like 420.69. And 101010, like just meme type of material. So it seems like whoever this person is, that they kind of have some crypto culture in them, So,
yeah. So nice sense of
but I
humor.
haven't done any like analysis on that as far as that goes. But that's just kind of see how I see things playing out.
That's cool.
Wow, I didn't know that. I'll have to look at the 420 stuff.
Yeah,
it's funny.
If you go back at the Hex Happy Hour from last Friday, Yash pretty much explained it also. Yeah, that was pretty
okay. I like it. I like these theories.
Yeah. As for me, like I actually found Silver's analysis of that live stream more informative than the live stream itself, because he was able to kind of like, I guess, theorize and talk a little bit more about it's what he speculates about 3 Arrows Kev is going to do, because obviously as CEO, that Chinese guy, I forget his name, but he can't, Suzu, he obviously he can't really speak he has to kind of talk between the lines a little bit and not really telegraph everything that the company is doing. So I just found it interesting that some of the theories that SDA was coming up with. So so back to you, John.
I mean, I just, based on what I've looked at some of the history of that wallet and the various ones associated with it, because I think that he also, or that wallet is associated with a couple other pretty large wallets in the top 10 maybe, and it seems like they're going to reassess come March 15th and maybe have a board meeting or have like a CIO, they're going to have to deliberate, right? Because with $2 billion or so after big payday, they're going to have to deliberate what to do with that. Look at liquidity now. Look where the market structure is at. How was the infrastructure? So it's just not just an easy like, okay, we're going to 555 it and call it a day, right? They have to actually strategically think about their other stakes, how much risk they want to take and how much they want to lock it up for and give up that liquidity. So there's a lot of things that they got to decide, and I think that's what if they just good account. Right? What is the market going to do? Because we're assuming that a lot of people are front running this potential dump to buy back lower. But what if it just good accounts and sits there? Then what is the market going to do? A trader's just going to sit there and just continue to not get interest and just stay liquid? Or are we just going to chop for another few months? Or is it going to cause a buying frenzy? Or is it going to be that's what's going to be interesting to see for me, I think. Around that time, because of how the market reacts to what that stake does.
Well, yeah, no matter what happens, whether it's good accounting or end stake, the share prices are going to go up. I think Dev Kyle or in Crypto Sparbook, I think they did the math, and it's not going to go up by that much as far as what their analysis was. But I think they said maybe 10%, which is still significant in one day, you know. I think no matter what, it's probably a good time to, you know, lock up whatever you're trying to do if you have the funds to do it. Because you know, 10% bump up in price, it's just the cost of entry, it just keeps going up.
And that's good for the already staked people and already have a set up their ladders and stuff. I didn't know there's going to be 10%. That seems really high because since Big Payday, I think the share price has increased maybe 5-6%, 7% maybe.
Oh,
so
okay.
That would be more than double the entire share price increase between now and November 19th. So,
well, maybe somebody in chat
I don't
can
know if that
fact check me, but that's what I remember.
I was originally theorizing that it might bump it past 20K hex per t-shirt.
What's that at right now?
It's like 1.69 something. Looks like John froze.
Yeah. We'll have to carry the weight on this one. What do you need fact checked? I was asking, does anyone know by how much the share price will increase on March 15th, with the expectation that that large whale will do goat accounting or end their stake on that day? Got Wick to look at it. That's funny.
Real quick. That's funny.
But yeah, so the other thing that I found interesting about the stream yesterday, which I watched today, Brennan's here. What's up, man? The other thing that I found interesting about the actually, I took some notes. Let me pull that up.
Hey, welcome back.
I'm pulling some notes real quick. So you cut out right when you start talking about the 10%. You mentioned.
Oh, yeah. What I was just saying is, it seems that I want to see where that 10% is coming from, or if you have like a link to where Kyle mentioned that 10% increase, because it just seems high relative to what it's done over the past 3 months or so.
Motley is saying not by much, according to Hex Lion, due to the stake being done on day 100 or something. Okay, maybe it's not 10%, but I thought, you know, before, without knowing anything and not really paying attention to the math or anything, I just kind of like, oh, it's going to bump it up by 30-40% or something, but that's definitely not the case. So we can definitely rule that out. I think 10% probably is the max, and it seems like it's probably lower than that. So, but that's fine. It's still a pretty big event, and I think what this person might do is, you know, because there is a very large stake that this wallet has that I think is at the 10-year or the 15-year mark. So they're obviously in it for the long haul. So I think they're probably going to ladder out. That's my hypothesis. And they won't do it all at once. I think it'll be something over time, because if they can, you know, because we've been seeing that the average staked length has been increasing. We've passed the 5-year mark. And so I think this larger wallet is seeing that, hey, people are locking up their money for longer and longer periods of time. And I think that'll probably give them more security as somebody that has a lot invested in Hex, to be like, okay, maybe I can also, you know, kind of keep up with what the rest of the community is doing. So in that sense, I'm bullish.
And if this person does lock up,
if this person does lock up for a long period of time, I don't know how much that might push the weighted average, but that's also something to consider, because right now we're getting about 13% or so on a 30-day APY, and then if your average weighted stake length is the same as the average for the community, then you're earning close to like 37 or 38% APY, and so that will just get harder and harder. So you also have to keep up to get that higher APY. So that's something to think about too.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's the war. It's the war for longer stakes now.
Yeah.
That's the game theory of Hex. Is number one is how do you position yourself relative to other people, and how much of the inflation are you getting based on your stakes and your strategies. So it's another thing that the staking wise, like I'll be interested to see how that wallet stakes is. Are they going to stake relative to they think the market cycles? Like when this bull market will peak. Are they timing it till then? So maybe a year or so, or are they going to just YOLO it 5 some 5 some 10, some 12, some 13, and then every year or every 2 years or something. It would be very interesting to see what they do. What if they just what if their stake comes undone and they just immediately stake it all? That would be so bullish for for price, of course. So we'll see. I mean, my bet, my rough estimate. The percentage wise, I would, if I was a betting man, I would bet that they're going to restake all of it and ladder it. Is what I'm expecting.
You bring up a good point about would this person try to time the market, and I think by selecting this March 15th date, they already did try to do that. And it's because, Bitcoin's right around 60. Things have kind of slowed down, and they've teetered around a little bit, and, we're hitting high fees with Ethereum. There's a lot of questions about NFTs, and I'm not saying that this person got it all right, but it seems like they're thinking about it, and they have good intuition. So I could also see them laddering, but being mindful of what they think is happening in not only the crypto market, but also the markets at large, even though we've seen patterns throughout Hex's history that things are decorrelated. So, I think it kind of could be both ways, that maybe this person's like, hey, it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. I just need to focus on Hex's ecosystem. But it also could be to, potentially time the bull and bear markets, because I'm interested to see what happens when, and this is something Richard talked about in his last stream, was when, we had this last 2017 run up, and we had the Christmas blow off top. Ethereum lagged like 40 days or something for its all-time high, and that's because people were looking for something to funnel their money into. And I've thought about this a lot already, because I can imagine people getting scared of Bitcoin, getting scared of Ethereum or whatever, and there might be a little lag, but they might see Hex and how people can't sell because they're locked up. We have all this economic energy, and I'm sure the price will take a little bit of a hit, as it does so often. But I'm very bullish on a bear market in crypto.
No.
Yeah, and I agree that I think the overall stock markets globally will have a big effect on crypto too, ultimately too. So like, as long as that can continue to chop and trend upwards, that will be good, for.
Froze again.
Crypto.
Let's see if it comes back. Oh, yep. There we go. Yep.
You're
back.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. It's going to be one of the biggest events of Hex, I think, this year, at least to start the year. And we'll get a lot of because there's definitely a lot of sell pressure due to taxes right now. We're getting close to April 15th. People have to pay their taxes as far as their capital gains from all the mad gains they've gotten in the last year and a half or so. So there's that sell pressure. That's something we have to kind of get past. And then we have that big stake. So I think if those two things, only time will tell, obviously. But I think once we get past those two major things, I think the price can continue to get more balance and trend up and to the right again. as a lot of these sellers are running out of coins too.
Mm.
That's a really good, interesting point that you made, because you're right. Like, so tax day is April 15th, and just this meme wedge or this meme triangle that I'm looking at, it seems to resolve on the 20th.
20.
So
yeah, there you go.
Right,
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Add it to the theory. Yeah.
And Elon Musk is going to tweet something, right? That's just his MO to do that. So
yeah,
who knows? It's funny.
Probably something about Doge again.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Josh, that you bring up 60K, because that was I remember that was one of Richard's predictions from a previous interviewer that asked him. I think he wasn't too serious about that, actually, but it'll be interesting if this is like the first in a double top or something.
Yeah, I remember it was he might have said it on multiple occasions, but I remember it was in one of his streams. It was kind of towards the end. He was answering some questions from the group, and or from chat, and someone asked him, and he just got maybe 60. He just kind of threw it out there. So
yeah.
Did it touch 60 though? I thought it was like right below, like 58.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It is pretty crazy that he did say, "Hey, what the top could be the next cycle," and he's like, 60, and here we are. But it doesn't feel like the end of 2017 right now. I mean, to me, it could be definitely. It just shows you how hard it is to time, big macro, markets. It's just so hard to time. You never know exactly where it's going to drop, and you never know. I'm obviously seeing right now. We're seeing a lot of rotations out of Bitcoin and Ethereum and into some of the altcoins, because the altcoins are pumping. The last few weeks, pretty hard, right? So that means people are definitely rotating their profits in these large caps, going into the mid caps, start gambling in the micro caps, and that's why you're seeing some of these unknown ones, or ones that have been dead since 2017 or 2018, go up 10, 20x in a month or so, because there's more capital in the markets because of the profits in the large caps, and then also people are just, again, the greed kicks in. You get your mad gains in the large caps. You say, I'm just going to hold Bitcoin, Ethereum all the way up, but then you get greedy because you saw some other guy make 30x on Dogecoin. All right, it's just human psychology. So it's just that. It seems like Richard said, maybe we're in the first third or second third right now, but you never know. It's so hard to time.
Yeah, no, and Richard even mentioned in the stream last night that he thinks that a dump is coming in Doge, and I don't know how severe that would be, but I think it's dumped quite a bit already. But it's still up from about a year ago. So I don't know if that's necessarily going to be when the bear market starts. I agree with you that it doesn't seem like we're in the top of 2017 or the end of 2017 how it was. I think we're still gaining attention and attraction, because I'm getting more people to message me that I haven't talked to in 3 years. They're like, "Hey, I've been meaning to message you about crypto, and I saw you post on LinkedIn or whatever." And so it's kind of getting funny like that again, but it's nowhere near that pandemonium just yet.
Yeah, I personally have had a lot of friends message me about crypto lately that have never had any interest before, despite me telling them about it. So yeah, we're in a weird, definitely in a weird time.
Yeah, they want to buy high. They hated it.
Yeah,
They hated it at 5K, and now they love it at 50K. It's the best buy ever at 50K. It's just,
they want to buy memes for thousands of dollars and through NFTs and get wrecked on it.
Yeah. When the Wall Street Bets thing was happening, I got messages from some people saying what kind of cryptos are you in? I told them well, this is Hex. This is what it does. And he's like, oh, it's a scam coin. I'm in Doge. I was like, what are you in? He's like, I'm in Doge. What? It's just so like Richard said, those are signs that it's a crazy bull market and euphoria parabola. But it doesn't feel like it. But maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Yeah, I mean, to us HexAsians, it really doesn't matter, because we're in it for the long haul. I imagine all of our stakes are laddered out to 15 years. Mine is, and so whatever happens in the short term, year, 2 years, no big deal. I'm just enjoying it as it goes and trying to learn more and, try to steer people away from the scams that really are out there, or just the pump and dumps and the memes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Real quick, I wanted to ask you guys, did you guys both watch the Harry Dent interview? And I was wondering what your thoughts about that was.
Go ahead, Yash.
Well, I like that we had somebody that was outside of crypto come on and has different reach, different influence. I thought that aspect of getting Harry Dent on there was amazing. I think the conversation was a little all over the place. And I think for them two, they more or less, or for the most part, understood each other pretty well. But I think as far as something you watch, it was kind of a little scattered. They would jump topics and come back to each other a lot. But there was value in it. I think the message wasn't clear though, because there was so much jumping around and they couldn't, Richard did try to summarize where they agreed and maybe, find the thin line where they disagreed. And he also, tried to recap that in the last stream yesterday. So it was a little challenging, but I did appreciate the fact that, somebody from outside of crypto was having a conversation with Richard. It just gets more eyeballs and they can see that Richard is, the way he talks, the way he explains things, hopefully that had a good impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mostly agree. Getting him on, I didn't really know his work ahead of time. Apparently a lot of people in Hex did know him. So I didn't know his background, but I've, heard a lot of people like him speak because they come on CNBC all the time and they say how the market's going to go to hell. Every few years, it's a bubble, the top is in, it's unsustainable, but it can, the markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. Yep. And that's what Richard keeps telling people constantly, it can stay irrational. So if you keep shorting, it can stay irrational, and then you just go bust. I like their macro talk because, Harry did have some good things to say as far as intelligent things to say. But I didn't agree with the 30-year treasury. I think that's pretty dumb. And I don't think it needs much explaining. But he was tough at first of the interview. It was really rough. But then once he talked about the stable coins and it was like, oh, you can learn 9-10% on your stable coins. That's a new thing. And how long have they been around? And so once he started asking questions, getting interested, then it became a really good interview because then Richard guided him towards well, you can actually earn trustlessly without having to lend out your coins. So I thought that was pretty, it was just a pretty smooth transition. And then also it was beneficial to Richard because he gained 10,000 Twitter followers after that.
Oh,
so
wow.
That alone, that alone was a huge,
Huh.
It's what happened right after that interview. He went from 56 to 66 or 67,000.
Awesome.
So he definitely brought along a lot of those people, and I think we have been seeing larger buys late over the last few weeks. We've seen 100K buys, 100K, 50K, 60K. So maybe those are some of those, those older people or boomers, or maybe not boomers, but people that are more willing to take, go up the risk curve and take risks beyond the traditional assets and bonds and gold and that stuff like that. So that's
we had a really big buy. I think the end of the day yesterday or something, or maybe early morning today. I saw
last night. Yeah,
last night or something.
2 hours after that stream,
so one guy accumulated 300K worth, and he staked it for a month. So he kind of did it in a pretty bad way, honestly. He 30K, then 100K, then 30K, then 100K. It's that's not how you should trade Uniswap if you're accumulating. Right? You should do limit orders, buy some, do limit orders. There's much better strategies to accumulate. Sorry, go ahead.
Maybe that implies that it's a newer person to crypto, and maybe they're just kind of testing out the system. Yeah, I don't know.
Exactly. That's why it made me feel like it might be a Harry Dent. It might be Harry Dent, or it might be one of his followers, or someone he knows, right? That wasn't aware of Hex, but they might be aware of crypto, but not Hex, and aware of Uniswap, because most people still don't know what Uniswap is, right? We take it for granted, but the vast majority of people, and then crypto people, still don't trust DEXs. They still think it's, a shitty UI. You could get you're not going to get hacked, but you could basically just like lose your funds due to all these stupid reasons. So who knows? That's just a theory. It could be just another hexagon that's just went into cash and now is going into, fully into Hex. Because throughout this accumulation zone, I've been seeing a lot of people go into USDC. So it's interesting that people love stable coins, even though we're in a full-on bull market. It's interesting to me, because they're going to either have to gamble in other coins, trying to catch pumps or buy dips there, or they're going to have to buy. Hex is kind of trended up, so they're going to have to buy higher or just wait it out and hope their targets get hit. So we're definitely shaking out a lot of small to medium size, and then I've seen some sharks dump, take some profits, which is perfectly fine, right? Or it could just be tax related too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any broader thoughts on the interview that happened yesterday with Adam Stokes? Stokes.
I like that he was kind of pushing Richard for some answers on some things. I think Richard has a lot of respect for him, and he was willing to entertain it a little bit. They had a fun interview style, and so I really recommend anyone who hasn't seen it to go check that out. It was different. I think Richard does a lot of the same interviews over and over, and there was like a little rapid fire session in there.
That was fun.
Which was cool. And one of the questions that Adam was trying to push Richard to answer was, between Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Hex, what do you say is the best? And obviously Richard's a founder of Hex. What do you think he's going to say? But I just, I feel like because Adam didn't just dive in there like, oh, well, you're obviously, full of it if you just won't say, what your answer is, because we all get it. There's no expectations, and he doesn't want to get into any trouble either. But I like that they just had a good communication.
Yeah, they did. They definitely had a good rapport. They actually did a stream last year during our launch phase, pretty early on.
Yep.
I think it was back in January of 2020. So yeah, he's been an early supporter of us.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure he bought too. So
that's
why he seems pretty happy with Richard. He's not like, where are my gains at? No, he actually participated, so he's actually happy to see Richard happy and succeeding and thriving and going after his ultimate goals, which is rising the influence of Hex in the cryptosphere, right? So overall, I mean, I liked Richard's talks about women and stuff and how they suck and everything. That was hilarious.
They're just not as cool as guys.
They're not as cool. That's what it was. They're just not as cool. That was good, and then some of his game talk was funny and mostly true too. Like the synergy stuff, like vibing, vibes and synergy with people. Like you have to just find that synergy, and sometimes people are, when you meet them, they're just in a different place in their life that they're not ready to talk to you or get to know you. But some other person might be exactly in the perfect place too. You just never know. It sounds like Richard's doing fine with his strategies.
I think it was, even though Richard has I guess not a traditional approach to dating and stuff, but I think it was just good advice for anybody that was listening. Like, hey, it doesn't matter what you say, but say it with confidence. Go over there and just try to have a good time. Don't have any expectations, and it was just solid advice if you took it for what he was really meaning. Like, obviously he was making it fun, entertaining how he was explaining it, but it was just solid advice for anybody. And it's not just girls. Like, whenever you're going out, just look to have a good time, and people that gravitate towards you, you can feed off of that, and you're going to have a great time. I think anyone can find that advice valuable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We could transition to the next topic with this question. Asking HexMac asking about the quant gang stream that John was on yesterday.
Okay. Yes, I did have some questions unanswered that we can talk about. And we kind of chatted about it earlier, so you guys have an idea. Is why are the staked years 2031 to 2035 so barren? There's basically virtually no stakes expiring in those years. And no one seems to be, taking the initiative to claim big stakes there. Why do you think why do you guys think that is? Any theories or ideas of why that's happening as far as the expiring stake chart goes?
So what I had said before was just in the beginning, I didn't understand what the 10 to 15 year gap was about. I just heard that you max out on your bonuses, and I was like, well, that's longer pays better, caps right there, then I'll just stop at the 10. And so, I don't know how much of a large effect this has, but I think it plays, into the, mentality of the OGs that have been around. We probably contribute a lot of, we got a lot of shares for cheap back then. So I think the weighted average, it shows up, and, Hex was quite affordable for us back then too. So the people that were accumulating, we, didn't know. And then we went through a discovery phase. I think maybe it wasn't until June or July where we were like, or May or something, where we're like, oh, wait, this is the value of a 15-year stake. And then a bunch of us probably just threw out a bunch of 15-year stakes all at once and didn't have that ladder set up. And so that might be one reason for the gap. But also I think, the 55-55 stake is a meme, and it kind of comes with, when you're on Twitter, you can say, hey, you're a, 55-55er, and that's, plays into it a little bit. And yeah, so I think people, whenever they get the chance, and if they, have, if they have the opportunity, they, like, hey, I have a whole bunch of stakes coming out now, but I'll also just throw something out for 55-55. And I think that plays some psychology into it. I don't know the final cause. I know once I figured out the value of all those years, I did fill in the gaps for myself. But it was, I did kind of work backwards. It wasn't something that I, methodically thought through, like, hey, this is when I want this. It was like, okay, well, I got a gap here. Now I'll fill this. I'll fill this. So I think that plays into it a little bit, but yeah.
For me personally, when I was making my ladder, I also kind of did the same thing where, even though I didn't really have any gaps in terms of the years, I did place most of my stakes more heavily towards in years 10 and 15, and I didn't really have any concrete logic to it other than for the 10 years. My thought was I kind of wanted to front run the people that were putting their stakes in 11 through 14. So just try to secure that better share rate before them, and so that they they do a little worse than me when they're pulling their stakes out during those years.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I kind of did the similar thing. Like when I first started Hex, I started staking ladders like right away, and gas was so cheap, it was like 3 cents to stake. So I just did a bunch of just like ladders. So I just did it systematically, so there was no emotion. So I had my whatever amount for each stake, then I'll just like stake them out, this spread out monthly or whatever. So for me, it was just like a systematic thing because I didn't really know, I didn't know what I was doing, but it just, the math made so much sense as far as you just ladder it, and then you have that perpetual just restaking. So then you have the large stakes coming undone every year for you down in the future. So yeah, I mean, I think people should fill those out because Richard's obviously been saying that put your stakes where no one is, and there's it's pretty like also shallow in 27 and 2028 I've seen, right? So everyone pretty much like love that 10-year because he maxed out the bonuses. So humans are kind of weird like that. We just want the maximum bonus for the minimum amount of time, like like giving us the best, giving us the most reward for the minimal effort. That's kind of human psychology. So maybe that's just why people did. You know, it's just, and it makes sense. All right, you want liquidity, you want options. You know, you don't want to just put everything in your 555s. At least some people do. But
if I think back to year one, you know, I did a very similar. You know, I was methodical for the most part up until the 10-year, and then it wasn't that I was like going crazy, but you know, once I figured out the 15, I did the same approach. But I can imagine when I was looking early on into Hex and I saw the big payday and I saw that it wasn't like moving after the 10-year mark, I just thought maybe, you know, that played a factor into it too. I was like, oh yeah, well, you know, kind of like the maximum game in the shortest amount of time, you know, that definitely, you know, could have played a role into me being like, oh yeah, I'm getting this much for big payday, even though big payday was fluctuating at the time. I didn't really understand that that it was the case that, you know, that wasn't guaranteed. It depends on how many people are staked and the percentage and all that. So yeah, you know, that could have added a factor to it, but you know, big payday is over, and so hopefully going forward, I think people will start to figure that out. And as we trend on and we get more people into Hex and the ecosystem grows, I think, you know, that 10 to 15 is just naturally going to fill out because every year that goes by, that's, you know, that time frame is shorter for us. So eventually those will get filled out. But you know, people that are in on it early, you get the most shares. You have, you know, potentially have the get the most amount of Hex. And so for you to have more of an impact and get a good share price, I think, you know, now's the time to take advantage of that.
Good point.
agreed. Oh, so we can kind of shift gears now if you guys are ready. I did want to talk a little bit about quick swap. So have you guys tried it out yet? Provided liquidity or done any swaps yet?
Not yet, but I plan on doing that before the end of the weekend.
I've set up the Medic network with my meta anything beyond that. So
okay, cool. So I've been pretty active, just checking out some of the, you know, what the quick swap's been doing, what it is, doing research there, and then also chatting with like Brendan and Nerd Girl and some of the other people that have been making the inroads with that community and getting Hex, you know, listed, so to speak, there like immediately. So I have some stats. And it was like a couple weeks ago, we started at 0 liquidity and just community run. No OA as far as I'm concerned, just Hexicans providing liquidity on their own. We've gone from about 0 liquidity to over about 1.4 million in total liquidity if you include both sides. So there's a few pairs. There's the biggest pairs are the Hex ETH and then the Hex Quick, which is their token. And then if you provide liquidity, they're paying out an 8 quick reward per pool, so 16 quick total, which comes out to about $8,000 a day or 56K a week for Hexicans. So that money is going to the Hexicans who are providing liquidity. So there is a financial incentive. Obviously, there's things you have to think about, like impermanent loss. So if the one of the pools moves too far one way, the other, you're going to get more coins of the one that you technically don't necessarily want. So you have to be aware of that. But if you guys have, you know, liquid Hex and you're not staking it, this is another way to generate passive income. And then the benefit of that is the quick you earn is instant, and then you can actually sell that or use it to buy more Hex on L2 without paying all the transaction fees. Does that make sense so far? As far as the liquidity and stuff? Okay.
That's a really good stat. I didn't know that about how much
it's grown.
Liquidity providers are earning. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, so the pool rewards change every 7 days. So they do like a reassessment at the end of 7 days. Okay, how much liquidity is in this pool? compared to relative to the other pools, right? So it's been expanding. The platform itself, since I've been watching, went from like 12 million liquidity overall to over 100 million now. So there's a lot of users that are going on there. It does take some learning the Matic network and learning that process, but it's all done through your MetaMask. So you just switch your Ethereum mainnet to the Matic mainnet, and then you're on L2, and then you send funds from L1 to L2. So the cost of sending any coins, Hex, USDC, ETH, is roughly $10 to $15 to send it, and it's just a normal ETH send. So if you want to send Hex and ETH, you're gonna have to send 2, or you could send ETH and then buy Hex on L2 for no fees. So when you set up your wallet, they give you like a free money just to do the free Matic to do transactions, which does like hundreds of thousands of transactions for you. So you don't really need to buy it, and it's very cheap if you need it. So these transactions, these swaps, whether you're doing swaps or whether you're doing liquidity, any of these actions on L2 is literally 3-second confirmations and 0 fee. It's like 0.00001 is what you're paying. So that's essentially a 0 fee. So that's, if you're going to be buying and DCAing Hex over long periods of time, and you want to build that up before you send it back to L1, that's a great strategy. If you have lots of capital, no, you can just use L1 and use Uniswap and just buy easily. But if you are more conscious of your fees and you want to save money there, send the ETH or send your USDC or whatever coin you want to swap. And basically you can trade as whatever you want to do on L2 is going to be essentially free. Even providing liquidity, claiming your rewards, all of that. So it's a pretty cool experience. There's of course there's concerns with like security, and we want to make sure that it's safe. But as far as we've had some Hex devs look at it, and so far everything looks good. It's a Uniswap clone, and then they just added a liquidity token as the incentive on top of it, and then it runs on the Matic network, which is somewhat of a trusted. I don't know too much about them, but from what I've heard, is they're a trusted. I wouldn't say, company in the crypto space and the ETH ecosystem. So they don't seem to be scammy or rug pully at all. They're very, customer oriented, and they've been treating the Hexicans well, which we're not used to, right? These listing sites or exchanges usually don't treat us well, but QuickSwap has been very, open and welcoming, as long as we provide liquidity, right? That's the only thing. That's all they care about. That's the cost of a swap on L1 can, when the fees are high, they can be 50, 60, 80 bucks, $100. So if you do about at least 2 swaps on L2, it's going to be about break even. So as long as you're doing 2 or more swaps, it's going to be cost effective for you. So then when you send your coins from L2 back to L1, there is a 3-hour delay usually to do that transaction. And then when you put those coins back onto L1, there is a fee that you pay that's roughly 30 to 50 bucks. So all in, you're looking at 40 to 60 bucks from depositing and sending back, as opposed to doing one Uniswap, which can be 60 bucks itself. So there's no staking or anything on L2. There's only providing liquidity and swaps. But you can do multiple coin swaps. So you can swap like ETH for USDC and then Hex, and that's still going to be, usually in Uniswap, that's going to be another 20 bucks extra just to do all those swaps. And on QuickSwap, all those fees is still just going to be like fractions of a penny. So yeah, you guys should check it out. If you have any questions, let me know. Talk to Brennan too. He's been the one that's really been trailblazing and trying to get, eyeballs on Hex that way, which I think is a great outreach. Like, what else can the community do is outreach and getting more users and more eyeballs. So I commend him and what he's done for everyone on the Hex community, because it is a great solution. And then lastly, and then I'll stop talking, is QuickSwap has got some funding from Coinbase Ventures. So they cloned Uniswap, and then they got funding from VCs. So there's rumors that they're going to build a fiat on-ramp from Coinbase to L2 directly. So that is the game changer. Wow. So if you could transfer coins, USDC, from Coinbase for no fee to L2 on Matic into your wallet, then you could trade Hex for free, and then all you'd have to pay is the send back to L1, which is like 30 to $50 per token. So you could do that, build up a big enough stack that it's worth it, send it to L1, and then stake it directly on L1. So you're minimizing the friction and the gas inefficiency by doing that. So if that actually happens, and there's rumors that that's going to happen, that would be huge for the onboarding and could also implement into the staker app. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, potentially it could.
Staker, yeah, that would be awesome.
One thing you said was they evaluate the rewards about like once a week or something. Who is they? How do they how's that governance structure for evaluation? Is it automated? What do you know anything about that?
Yeah, it is centralized, so it's going to be up to the head. I think it's like his name is Rock, and he's going on Discourse this Friday. So if you guys have questions for him, write them down, ask them on Friday. He's going to, I think, talk to RG and maybe a few others, and he's going to just give the breakdown of QuickSwap and everything, all the security issues and concerns we have and all that. Because, we're very conservative by nature, just because, what Richard preaches all the time, audits, security, that's the most important thing in crypto besides price go up.
Definitely.
So I'm excited for that because, if we can be the trailblazers for Uniswap and 1inch and Tornado Cash, then we can also do it for QuickSwap. But to get back to your question, Rock, who's head of, I think, Lunar Digital Assets, he's the one who looks at all the pools and tries to make it fair. He uses a Excel spreadsheet and says, okay, this is how much liquidity they added this month relative to the total liquidity of the entire system. They deserve this much reward. And then you can look on, send you some links after this. You can look on their thing, what each pool is earning and how much liquidity is in there.
Oh, okay. So they're transparent. That's good.
Yeah, it's transparent. Yeah, but then it's every week that they renew it. It's like a rolling week.
Yeah, shout out to Brennan. Killing it, as always.
And Nerd Girl, too. She's an
Yeah.
admin there, and she's been definitely building and helping us get some credibility. We still I go in the chat every now and then, and we're still getting a lot of crap from just the people in those chat rooms. Just when we bring up Hex, they're like, this Ponzi coin, why is it listed here? It's funny hearing these decentralized exchanges or these people that use decentralized exchanges trying to censor us still.
Yeah.
It's been well over a year. Come on. I don't get it. it. They'll buy in higher prices, so no big deal.
Yeah. So if you guys have any I think the L2 stuff, the fiat on ramp to L2 is the most exciting thing. Because just think about how that easy the onboarding would be, and it would be very low cost. Because if someone's going to buy $500 worth, send it. They have got to buy ETH, pay a fee, approve ETH to spend, swap, stake. At the end of that, you're going to have like 350. So it is what it is, right? There's nothing we can do about it. It's reality. But for average people, and if we want to continue onboarding no coiners, Staker app with that would be a dream scenario, because then they could just send it to L2 on the Staker app, then they could stake it for you, or do all the stuff behind the scenes that they're already doing, just on a even cheaper level. That's safe, that's using the same protocols, safeties.
So I have a question. Richard has talked about creating or wanting a fiat on-ramp directly to Hex. Does this potentially expedite his process, or does it potentially override what he might have envisioned? I don't know if you have any insight to what that might look like, but it seems like this could probably be what we need, and it seems like it's already going to be worked on outside of him having to focus on it. So if this fiat on ramp happens through Coinbase to L2, and then you could go to your staker and all that sounds amazing. So and it would finally free up because one of the problems with Staker right now is that since the fees are so high, we haven't been able to use Staker full-fledged all the work that Steph and Firebond have done, we've had to kind of put a pause on it. And so to me, it sounds like this is the game changer, the fiat on-ramp for the no coiners that we've been hoping for. But is there also something else in the works?
Yeah, I believe Richard did say that, that you need to do the regulatory process though to get that approved, because you're essentially becoming a bank if you're taking fiat and giving people hex or doing some sort of mechanism that does that. It's technically like a banking license thing. And I think Richard said it's different in every state too. So I think he's looking at getting licensed in all the states possible first, and then rolling it out where it's very cost effective, maybe even free or very minimal cost to use, because it doesn't necessarily need funding. It already has funding, or maybe it believes that the funding or setting this all up is a net positive, that it's going to outweigh the cost of setting it up in infrastructure and legal and accounting and stuff like that. So, I'm pretty optimistic about it. It's just, it seems like these things usually take a long time and longer than you think.
Yeah.
The old world moves very slow in regards to regulations, especially with crypto regulations.
Yeah.
But that would be great if there was a fiat exchange just for hex. That would be amazing. That'd be, it'd be incredible.
Oh, yeah. Here's a question. Do you think maybe, say this whole quick swap thing sticks around for a while and ends up becoming more popular in the community than Uniswap? Do you see the OA maybe participating in it as well, and maybe migrating, some liquidity over there, and just doing things over there?
Yeah, I think so. I don't see a downside to it. I think the OA is just, again, treading very carefully, and it's not going to just jump into the shiny, toy over here that everyone's hyping just because. It has to deliberate and think and really assess all the risks, because it's just crypto. It's like, it is a wild, wild west, but the technology side of it and security side is like, you can't just move fast and break things. So I think the OA has to take its time, see how it goes, do due diligence, but then, they have other things to do too that they're working on. So I wouldn't say this is a priority either.
Yeah.
So that's why I've been trying to, and all the community has been trying to bootstrap itself and not rely on anyone else. And the power in that is that we get to feel good about it and spread the word, and hopefully it's a net positive for everyone. If not, then, you can always pull liquidity. That's your thing. And then you can just end stake your liquidity and just leave. So if there's a better platform, you could leave or you could migrate. But the one thing that I do want to mention that I didn't get to mention last time was the Hex ETH liquidity on Uni. I think people should be pulling that and moving it to QuickSwap or moving it to USDC, like Richard said, because if he is correct in that Bitcoin is topped around 60K, Ethereum has hit 2K, which is like a big psychological resistance, past all-time highs. If we are in a 6 month or 9 month, accumulation bear market zone, then it would be nice to be paired to USDC, and then we can move that ETH Hex liquidity to QuickSwap, and then we're not tied to ETH on UniV2. We are tied to it on L2, and then I think the market will normalize, and then we could build a Hex USDC on QuickSwap or Hex DAI, any Hex Tether. We can really do whatever we want, and we can create any pair you want on QuickSwap. It's totally like Uniswap and decentralized. So if you guys have liquidity on UniV2 ETH pair, I would move it and see what happens. Because if Richard is recommending it, it sounds like it's probably a good idea. I wouldn't second guess it.
Yeah, I haven't provided liquidity on that, but liquidity on QuickSwap seems interesting just to try out and see how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do $1 on each side if you want, right?
Oh wow.
And then if you provide, and then the reward you get, you can swap it for Hex, and then that's just like an income, like a Hex drip for people, like a faucet, for your liquid stack. It's just a drip, and it's not huge rewards. So like because I think one pool has like 700K and the other one has 700K, so they're each getting 8 quick a day, so that's about 4K a day for 700K. So your reward is going to be proportional to your size of the liquidity pool. So if it was a million and you owned 100,000, then you would get 10% of the quick. You would get 0.8 quick a day for providing that 100K in that $1 million pool. So it does take a little bit to get those large rewards, but 0.8 quick a day, that is at current prices, that's like $400 a day just for providing the 100,000 in liquidity.
That's crazy.
So if you do the math, right? You do the math yourselves, not financial advice. Do the math, run the numbers, see what you think is a respectable risk limit that you're willing to take on an L2 in an early stage project, and just test it out and see what you think about it, and then we can kind of figure out if that's the best strategy for Hex long term, or if it's just a fad. It could just be a fad, but I like it personally. Once you use it and you see 0 fees, I think you'll like it.
So when let's just say that Coinbase sets up this link to L2, the Matic network, and all that, will you still have to hold any Ethereum to do any type of transaction fees? Like, let's say you wanted to go from Coinbase, you wanted to buy Hex, and then you wanted to send it to Staker, and you wanted to run the staking function. Would you need Ethereum to do any of that?
So you do need Ethereum to deposit the coins to L2 from L1, and then you need Ethereum in your L1 to have them deposited back in to L1. So you do need ETH in that L1 wallet, but when you do switch the network, it's the same address. So you can create just a brand new MetaMask if you want, just to be safe, to use a brand new one for just that quick swap, liquidity or whatever. And then also I found that with QuickSwap, the ledgers and like Trezors, like there's way too many buttons you have to click. It's like one of them is like 70 things you have to approve. So it's better just using a normal MetaMask, unfortunately, that's what I found. So for people that use ledgers, it's kind of a pain in the ass. Yeah. So I'm hoping they fix that, but who knows? That's
cool.
But yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Did I answer your question, or did you, I think you had a couple questions there, but does that answer it? Or no?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was good.
Okay.
The other thing, so what happens with the encapsulated stakes? Is that something that can exist on L2? Something Richard has mentioned a little bit.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk about the encapsulated stakes.
I don't know quite how it works, but you had mentioned, maybe this was before the stream, that Kareem had gone kind of in depth with it on a stream that you've been on with him recently. I don't know. Could you speak to that, or?
Yeah, sure. I can speak as much as I know, because I just learned a lot about it yesterday. I was like, I didn't really understand at first. So my understanding is, yes, the encapsulated 555 stakes would be on L2. So it would be something similar to QuickSwap or whatever platform that it was created. And then those assets from the encapsulated 555 stake would be traded there. But it would still be a 555 stake, I think, on L1. I'm not 100% sure on that, like where the stake itself would be, but I know like an entity is going to hold the stake, and then you would get the rewards from that stake on either like a monthly basis or an annual basis, whenever you want. So you're buying like a share of that 555 stakes daily T-share payout. So it's for people that instead of doing the rolling 30-day stakes, they could just buy a share of this and then have less upkeep and still get the passive income, as long as they put up the collateral. So yeah, it's kind of like a fractional reserve thing. So it does have a little bit of centralized entity has to run it, but it's going to be in a decentralized format where I think you don't need to trust anyone to interact with it, but there's going to be a centralized thing that has to manage the funds. Or I don't know. I don't know exactly what's going on, but
okay.
I'm sure
I mean,
there will be more details unfold over time. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
still in like the brainstorming and the.
In theory, like fractional reserve banking isn't bad. It's just higher risk. And so if you're able to manage it, it's, I think we're just a lot of us that are libertarian minded, maybe. We hear fractional reserve like, oh, no, that's terrible. But, if it's some system like that, it's not the worst. It's just managing more risk. And if there's a way to, remove the human aspect of it or any centralization to it, that'd be great. But yeah, like you said, it's interesting. And I'll go back and I'll listen to Kareem talk about it and just see if I can wrap my head around it more, because that's very interesting. I haven't been in the Telegram chats. It's hard to kind of keep up these days, but that is the stuff with Quick, the L2, the encapsulated stakes, all that stuff is cutting edge in Hex right now. And so very much interested in trying to figure it all out.
Yeah.
If you guys have any questions,
let
me know.
Is it audited, or do you know?
I'm not sure. I think it's still, as far as when I was talking to Kareem, I think he still has to go through some legal and audit stuff, security stuff. But I think it's already maybe 80% of the way there. So it's been like an idea that I think not Richard has been doing, but someone else in the dev chat and dev community has been working on the side as a side project. Because people in the dev chats are always looking for ways to build adoption with positive game theory stuff. So there's like people are always looking to build businesses around it. Unfortunately, a lot of them haven't turned out great, but there's still going to be stuff that's going to be experimental, at this early stage. So it's good. You got to iterate and try new things. Just like with the OA doing stuff with the liquidity and the pairs and stuff. Like, you have to iterate. It's just like any business. You can't just stand still and expect to be number one forever. You have to iterate. You have to be ahead of the curve with like removing liquidity and putting them on 1-inch limit orders. And that still acts as liquidity, but you're not going to get order execution for these dumpers. Like, that's brilliant. Like, I don't think anyone else in crypto has ever done anything like that. As far as like thinking about the best interest of the project or the product or whatever. I just wanted to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, Hex is, we made Uniswap famous, and, hopefully we can, and if Quick, continues to do well, and it seems like it's really good. There's a lot of support from the community. We could potentially be a part of another movement in crypto, making another not another L2 solution, but an L2 solution popular, and get more adoption. And it's a very symbiotic relationship. So I think we're really good at doing that. And like Brennan and Nerd Girl, smartest people in crypto are on our team. So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Brennan had a great idea that if Hex is popular on QuickSwap, it's going to be on the front page of the token list. So that's just going to bring more awareness. And then the fact that we were there before everyone else, like if you look at the projects there that have like decent liquidity, like there's not that many technically good ones. So we're one of the best on there. And if we were one of the best and the first, it's a good sign, especially if there's hype and then the mainstream starts getting a hold of L2 and some of the scaling solutions. Because I don't think the vast majority of like institutions and stuff aren't looking at L2. Right? That's just like the tech people and the nerdy crypto people. So I think we're innovating, and we're on the edge of what's out there, and hopefully we can continue that as long as we just keep an open mind as far as what's possible and what is feasible. So I think that's just good exposure. And Brendan also was putting like Hex on every single pair on QuickSwap, just like a few dollars. So then it shows up on when you're on they have like a uniswap.info same page, like a clone of that too. So on that page, Hex is going to be paired with every single ticker. So it's just going to be everywhere, right? So you can't avoid it. So I think that's a great marketing strategy. Yeah, I think Brendan just mentioned in the comments. If you want to put it up.
Subliminal advertising. Yeah. That's a smart idea.
You have to, because you have to pivot around these gatekeepers that don't want it to be seen anywhere. Like you just have to do whatever it takes.
And you never know, there might be an airdrop in the future.
Oh yeah.
I don't think so for Quicksaw, because they already have a token released and they have their tokenomics already figured out.
Yeah.
No, but we're still waiting for the MetaMask one, potentially.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple other ones, that have potential. So that's another boon too. Like, so if that happens, that's obviously bullish for Hex's price, and also the stimulus in the U.S. We're all in the U.S., so obviously there's income restrictions there. But if you do qualify, or if your family qualifies, you can get up to $1,400 per person.
Yeah.
And then if you don't need that money for living expenses, where do you think that's going? In risky stuff, right? Crypto being one of them. So that's good. That's also very bullish. So if we get, I'm praying, if we get a MetaMask airdrop combined with the US printing airdrop, that would be great for the Hex price, because that's just going to introduce a lot of buying pressure, and then we can just shake out some of the sellers way faster than maybe even 420. We'll see.
Yeah, that'd be exciting.
Yeah, I want to go back to this question real quick. Along with what Jay's asking, do you did you get any sense that this whole encapsulated stake thing will kind of break the game theory of longer pays better?
No, I don't think so. I think it will just entice more shorter term people that don't want to lock up for that long, but still want to participate in some of that income generation. They're obviously going to pay a premium / fee to go in and out, I think. So that's where like the centralization comes in, and like you have to pay a fee. But I think the way it's designed, it's going to be you have to buy Hex to participate, and then when your profits are paid out in Hex, to avoid any like USD regulations and banking regulations, stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But there's always going to be L1 555 slice stakes. This is just going to be you buy like a slice of a encapsulated stake. They're going to say like this quarter, 1 billion and 100 million Hex encapsulated 555 stake. Get your share at this rate. Everyone gets the same rate, relative to how much you put in, right? So it's going to be a fair distribution. There's not going to be any middleman like taking off the top. There's just going to be a fee to go in and out to buy, and then to sell, I think. So we'll see. I'm not the expert on it, but that's what I think.
Yeah. Is it limited to only 15-year stakes? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
I believe so, because that's what's the most price supportive. Yeah.
And and I guess if you're playing it for the shorter term, that's where you're going to get the most Hex per share, and that's if the people that are playing that's what they probably want. Is there any way to fork this encapsulated stake and potentially harm the system that way, if somebody was trying to be a bad actor or something like that?
I'm not sure. It's probably a question for Dev Kyle or someone else like that.
Yeah, I'll put it on my list.
Yeah, not a technical guy. So I think that covers all my things I wanted to cover. Unless you guys had any final questions or thoughts you wanted to throw out there.
Do you have anything else?
Okay. This is unrelated to all that stuff, but like so I've made video content in the past, and it's been a while since I've done anything on my own channel, but I've been thinking that I make very short videos, like 2 minute, 3 minute, depending on the content of what I'm talking about, but just as short as possible, as fast as possible, to get whatever information on any particular topic, like what is the OA, try to explain that as quickly as possible to get people just what they need, bite-sized information, rather than digging through hours of video or watching 2 hours of a stream just to catch that one little bite. I know Vince does a lot of the timestamps, and that's time consuming. What are you guys' thoughts on if I was to do something like that, make bite-sized videos? Do you think that'll be helpful, or is it better for people to have slightly longer format so that you can get into the nuances. Obviously, I would remove a lot of the nuanced conversations, just get them, how do you get from point A to point B type of conversation. But do you think there's a void in the Hex sphere for that? Because I feel like there is. And do you think there's value in doing something like that?
Yeah, I think, yeah, we as Hexicans, I think we tend to skew towards the longer, like several hour side of things. So I do think there is some value in creating like shorter, bite-sized content. I love the new addition to the community we have in Markable Thoughts. I'm sure you guys have probably seen some of his videos. Yeah, I think he's a really good new asset to the community, and he even though most of his daily videos don't have anything to do directly with Hex, he kind of like sort of mentions Hex indirectly, and just talks about just kind of like self-improvement type things. And so I think yeah, that's it's a really good way to onboard people too. So but yeah, I think in general, yeah, we do need shorter content. Yeah.
Because I mostly try to talk to no coiners, and I'll have a very long conversation with them, over the phone or whatever, and that's a lot to take in for a new person that doesn't even know what crypto is really about. And so my thinking is like, if there's the share price came up as a question and I was trying to explain it over the phone, and it's kind of hard to do. It'd be nice to have a graph or something. But it'd be nice if I could just lay out something really short that they could go back to and reference. Not for any views, because I know the algorithms wouldn't work in my favor for YouTube or anything like that. Wouldn't really care about the subscribers. That's not the goal. The goal is just to have bite-sized information, just to get them thinking enough to keep moving. Or like, hey, I'm stuck trying to do this, swap on Uniswap, or I'm trying to get into Quick or whatever it is. I know Coffee has a really good video on how to get into Quick, and so that was helpful. But very similar things like that, but just as fast as possible. And then even maybe do the first 3 minutes of a video where it's like condensed format, and then people that want the longer content, maybe I can spend that next half hour talking about it or whatever. Okay, yeah, I was going to do this anyway, but I just kind of wanted some thoughts on if any problems with that.
Have you seen Hex Clips channel?
Yeah,
they do. Yeah, they do that. They take just clips from the streams, a few minutes here and there. So you could do maybe something with that person who runs that, maybe but I definitely think that's one of the things that's missing in the community is like just quick how-to video, like 2-minute video, like how do you stake, or how do you fix a pending, how do you speed up a pending transaction? How do you cancel a pending transaction?
Yeah.
How, like the fact that stakes, you can let them sit and just sit forever, but Uniswap swaps, you can't. You have a timer, and then you're going to lose like $50 if it doesn't hit. So it's like, there's all these tiny tricks that I think we need to educate people on slowly so that they can ultimately make better decisions and save money and not get so frustrated with the user experience, because it still is frustrating. I get frustrated, and I've been using crypto for a while, just when like your transactions are never going through, your ledger's not connecting to the website. It's just so many things that we still need to work on from a user experience that I think short little clips, short little rebuttals would be great. And so maybe talk to the Hex Clips guys, or just have some on your channel that we can reference when some people need it. Then we just say, hey, forward to this channel. Maybe that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hex Clips. Yeah. We've communicated, and not on this particular thing, but when I do come out with a video, he's always been very generous and takes his time and clips out a little portion in there. Yeah, that's a good idea, because the video editing, I'm sure I could do a decent enough job, but he's very smooth with it, got the nice transition, so maybe I can get some coaching there. And then a good example was there was so this is right after big payday. There was the huge dip, and I was trying to buy, but I, in the rush, wasn't thinking it through. The slippage was crazy, and I never thought to change the slippage in the settings for Uniswap to be able to take it. So I still got a good deal. Maybe I think I bought in, I don't know, half a penny or something. But I went through several transactions that kept failing because the slippage was so much and transactions were going crazy. So if there was like a quick video like that, I agree it would have been helpful.
Yeah, we've all been there. Yeah, it's just like, why? Because like people are like, why did it fail? And it's like they don't understand slippage. It's a complicated thing though. It's a very complicated thing, like for an average person to understand, like slippage and price move / like the Uniswap, how the math works on the pools. It's totally new world for people, and it's confusing. So I feel for them trying to understand it. So I think I'll try to put together a big list of these type of nuanced questions, and if anyone thinks of anything in chat or you guys think of something, shoot me something if you think it'll be valuable that I come up with this video, and I'll work on that. But I do have a list of slightly higher level conversations. I'll probably start there and then start to filter down into the more nuanced ones. But okay. Maybe write down a list of things that are just the most frustrating things that you have experienced in Hex, like crypto wise. Like just think of all the things that have happened to you, and then maybe do a video on one of those things, on one of those tiny things that you can do to fix it. And then we could become maybe a pasta command in the main chat too, or something like that.
That's a good
how
idea.
to fix that. So I gotta head out, guys. It's been fun. I think we got a discourse stream too.
Yeah, it's coming up soon.
So hopefully we'll do this again sometime. And
for sure.
I gotta represent for my Asians a little bit. Then I'm just on the discourse, the pirate show and Maddie's show. So I gotta get a little diversity up in here. So and it's good to talk to you guys. For sure. At length for the first or second time. So and hopefully we'll be able to connect. And you can always, anyone needs to reach me, ask me about anything. Hit me up on Telegram at Golden Yacht. You'll find me on there as John Wick. So
all right, cool.
All right, guys, it's been a pleasure.
Okay. All right, see you, John.
Appreciate it. Take care, guys.
Do it again next time.
Sounds good. Cheers.
Later.
So you guys could also find me on Twitter. It's Yashdeep369. You can find me on Telegram, same thing, Yashdeep369. I'm on Clubhouse now, same thing, Yashdeep369.
Oh, awesome.
I know there's quite a few of us that are trying to get that going, get a regular chat in there, maybe keep a 24/7 type of thing going where we have enough admins where the chat just keeps running and people can come in. It could be type of a customer service type of thing. Where we have Telegram, but that chat is filled with a lot of other stuff there too, memes and stuff. And, this could, whatever questions you have, you can maybe hopefully answer it directly. So I thought that was an idea. I talked to Franklin St. Hex about that. So, we're working on that.
Cool. Yeah, I meant to ask you about that because I particularly felt kind of sad because I saw Richard's tweet about his really negative first experience, about raising his hand and getting censored like that. So I just hope that you guys can kind of help build out a hexagon space over there.
Yeah, so I got into one chat. It was I saw somebody that I was connected with, NFTs. So I haven't talked to them in years, and the title was NFTs to the Moon, and I jumped in to hear what they were saying, and there was a guy asking questions, and the dudes that were the admins were trying to answer it. The guy that was asking questions clearly, did not know anything about crypto. And yet here he was trying to get into NFTs, and these guys, they weren't being disingenuous. They weren't trying to sell their own NFTs or anything, but they were giving them this like a lot of information and, telling them, hey, the price is doing this and there's so much upside and blah, blah, blah. And art is this and art is that. And I'm like, hey, I don't know the art scene and maybe that's true, but I do know how crypto works. And I do know that you don't need Ethereum. You don't need a decentralized exchange to run all these NFTs like that, to share these photos and videos or whatever. That could run off a more centralized exchange. I mean, if you want to verify that you own something, like we have, systems like Visa, MasterCard that verify that you made a transaction, and they go through very quickly. And so I don't understand the point of, like, I'm sure there's more edge use cases for it, but on, surface value, the people that were just trying to push this, they didn't really know what they were talking about. They didn't understand how crypto works, and they were just, hyping it up. So I jumped in there, but my attitude was like, I think I was drinking, so I was a little like riled up, and I didn't go in there empathetically. I could have, eased into it a little bit. I think I did okay. But I did make it very clear that if you're going to pitch these NFTs, you should always put out a disclaimer that, this is extremely speculative, that you should be very cautious about what you're doing, and you should have something, much deeper. Because if you are buying it for art, you should buy it for some sentimental, something more than just the price go up. Because if that's what you want, the price goes up. I can tell you something that's better, more secure, that's been audited 3 times. Blah, blah, blah. We all know this, but that kind of thing. So getting sauced up, man. So cheers. No, and so I think if we're gonna get into that, that realm and try to have a bigger community there, don't necessarily do what I did with, trying to tell everybody that they're kind of dumb, even though that is fun. Look, I think people would be open to open to listening if we just really came from an approachable way. And, we kind of like say like, hey, it seems like you're interested in this. I think I know a little bit more about you. No disrespect. This is what I know, and this is why I know this and how I understand it. I think people will respond better that way. So, get on Clubhouse, join us. There's a bunch of us on there. Follow everybody else that I follow. There's a bunch of HexAsians, so that'll be good. And next to Saturn, man. Let's do it. I don't know what else to talk about. Kill him with kindness.
Yeah.
And
Oh well, real quick, since this is the HexAsians channel, I know we're more I guess a little more of the Asian American side, but do you personally see any have any ideas about how to onboard people from the other side of the world, where we ethnically hail from?
I mean,
India, that's always been a challenge for the Hex community, because that part of the world's like culturally and just mindset and language and everything is just so different. I think it's always been a challenge to kind of break through to those people over there.
I can speak to India maybe, and most of India speaks English, or at least the people that would be on a computer anyway. And so I think that does work in his favor, but India's laws are very difficult. They banned it, they unbanned it, they banned it,
currently banned.
So
right?
What's that?
Is it currently banned now?
I thought it was unbanned. The Supreme Court did rule on something in India about that, but I don't really keep up too much. I know they had a lot of currency debasing activities they did a few years ago, where they just got rid of the lower end notes, and they got rid of the 1,000 rupee note or something like that, and it was just devastating for a lot of the poor population that would keep cash. They don't in India, to have a bank, you have to have state identification, and a lot of the poor people don't have that, and they would just keep these banknotes, and overnight they basically made those illegal, and so a lot of messed up stuff like that, which I definitely don't support. So and right now in India, there's other struggles that they're going through with the farmers' protest. There's a lot of farmers that are upset about the bills, and I don't. There's two sides, I guess you can say, the farmer side and then the not farmer side. I don't agree with either of them. I think both of them make points at times, but I think they're both missing, the most optimal path forward. And things are political and stuff like that, so you really can't even talk to people because people just get triggered easily. So
talk about it, yeah.
Because that is such a big thing right now, I don't think crypto is on their mind. And so while there could be opportunity, and obviously there's a lot of tech savvy people, and just the on ramp from going from the Indian rupee into crypto would be challenging. And I don't know if they have a local like a Bitcoin locals type of thing set up or anything like that. So I don't know. It's tough. I think most of the world just kind of follows the U.S. lead, and so I feel like India would, if it became more mainstream here in the States, I'm pretty sure India would follow suit because they want to do business. I'm pretty sure the Prime Minister Narendra Modi would like to keep good relations with the U.S. So, that's kind of how I see that playing out. But as far as the rest of Asia, language is definitely a barrier. Unlike in India, I'd say. So I'm not really sure how to tackle that. We do have a very much a saving mentality, though. The Asian cultures about earning interest, putting money away for the future, saving for your kids. I think in the American culture, it's more like, hey, once you're 18-year-old, you're on your own. There's definitely value in that. But the Asian culture is more like, hey, you stick with your parents, you take care of them because they take care of you, and and there's some leeway to go your own way. But eventually, when you're married or have kids, especially, I'm all for that. If I need instead of paying a nanny, you got your parents. That's definitely the way to go. That cultural difference, I think, lends itself to being conservative in terms of finances. So it's definitely, but being conservative, but also traditional. And when you bring in crypto, you can be conservative with Hex in terms of long-term strategy, but it's not traditional at all in the sense that you have to learn this brand new system. And I don't know if the older population is ready for it. And the newer population, I don't really know what their MO is, at least in Asia. And your family is from Taiwan?
Taiwan. So basically just Chinese culture in general, and a lot of it's the same, across the Asian cultures. And you bring up good points about generational wealth and taking care of parents, and I really think Hex has some good marketing potential there in terms of sending money to your future self so that you can do things like that and take care of family for the long term.
I think if I would, every time I go to India, I go to Punjab. That's where my family's from. It's a northern state of India. I usually just go there to visit family and stuff. It's not like touristy reasons. If somebody's getting married, you go get clothes and you go visit some family or whatever. Go to a party and stuff, but never been the touristy route. So I would like to go to India and do the touristy stuff, get more of a feel for the land. Because the bigger cities, the more English speakers there are there. Kind of mingle with the everyone that's in our generation, or the Gen Zs right there. just to see, because I think that's probably the best way, or do like a travel blog. That's actually a really good idea. Maybe you could do like a travel blog in India or sometime,
Cool.
and promote Hex that way. I think that would catch on, because, the virality there, I think, is quite high. I mean, they were the ones with China to start the TikTok movement, and now TikTok's banned there, I'm pretty sure now. But
Yeah, I think so.
like that, so the virality there is quite intense. I mean, you got 1 billion users potentially, but yeah, I would have to just understand the market a little bit more.
Yeah, same here. I'm probably even less attuned to that because I've never been outside of the United States. So, yeah.
You're such a bad Asian.
I'm terrible Asian. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. It looks like this course is starting in 20 minutes. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about? Because I mean, we still got time.
No. But thanks for getting me on here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I've done a couple streams with Cabana and Funding Jim Gary. But yeah, I want to get back into this movement. I've bought a new setup, so hopefully I get that thing built up. I'm settled in, but I'm not still settled in. So yeah, I'm gonna pick that up. So thanks for doing this. It's good talking to you, Vince. I know we're buddies, and it's too bad we can't hang out in California anymore.
Yeah, definitely miss that. But I mean, yeah, I'm sure we'll definitely meet again somewhere. Like, I don't know, when when the borders open up and from COVID, and like we can hang out at a conference or something like that. So yeah. Yeah. So I guess we'll
have to get you out of the States though, so get ready for that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll end it here, and everybody else, don't forget to catch Discourse Syndicate in about 18 minutes. So yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks.